so sorry.
The movie opens with a harrowing scene. A powerful corporation is tearing through the lush, vibrant rainforests of the Amazon. Trees crash down, habitats are destroyed, and indigenous tribes are being driven from their ancestral homes.
When do we want it?
In the middle of this devastation, we meet Justine, a college student, and her classmate Alejandro, who is already deeply involved in activism against this destruction. That evening, they attend a campus meeting focused on saving the Amazon and halting the environmental damage. Alejandro passionately explains how a major oil company is bulldozing the forest, putting entire native communities at risk. Moved by the urgency, Justine asks, "So what? We have to starve in the jungle just to save their homes?" Alejandro takes offense. Her question comes off as privileged and tone-deaf. He snaps and tells her to leave the meeting. The next day at school, Justine apologizes. Alejandro softens a bit and explains that standing up for people who can't defend themselves is their responsibility, and these tribes have every right to remain on their land. Soon, a detailed protest plan comes together. The students know the corporation uses private armed security, and the rainforest has no cell phone reception. So they plan to arrive early and set up a satellite uplink, broadcasting their protest live to social media. The goal? Go viral and put international pressure on the company to stop. Their activist friends rally behind the plan. Justine agrees to go, but lies to her father, claiming it's just a routine college trip. At the airport, they meet the young organizer who's coordinating everything and personally footing the bill. Justine is surprised anyone would risk so much on their own. They board a small charter plane, land near the rainforest, then take rickshaws to a local hotel.
You're wasting it all.
Nobody forced you to join us. You want to back out? Go ahead.
Soon after, they venture deep into the jungle by boat. Once there, the protesters are handed matching uniforms. Alejandro's friend gives everyone chains and locks to secure themselves to bulldozers and trees as an act of civil disobedience. Justine is given a faulty lock that won't fasten properly. They put on masks and kick off the protest. Moments later, armed security guards show up, and Alejandro begins live streaming the demonstration like a field reporter. The guards move in to break it up, but most protesters are already chained down. Justine, however, is vulnerable. Her lock failed, and a guard grabs her, threatening her with a gun. Panicked, her mask slips off. She pleads for help. Alejandro coldly responds, "Her father's a lawyer at the UN. Go ahead, shoot her, and let's see what happens." Justine is stunned and terrified. Just then, the head guard gets a call. Suddenly, the guards back off and lower their weapons. The call had been about Justine. Her identity saved them all. Shortly after, the police show up and arrest the group, but the protest leader bribes the authorities, and they're released. They board another small plane to continue their journey. Everyone's thrilled. Their protest made global headlines and blew up online, but Justine is far from celebrating. She feels betrayed. They had used her, not as a friend, but as a pawn. Their victory celebration is cut short. The plane begins to malfunction mid-air. It's going down. The crash is brutal. Several passengers die, including the group's leader. The survivors are shaken, wounded, and terrified. One of them searches frantically for a GPS phone to call for help. Suddenly, they hear something in the trees. A voice? Maybe a rescuer? Alejandro's ex-girlfriend walks toward it, and an arrow slices through her throat. Alejandro rushes to help, but another arrow hits her square in the forehead. She dies instantly. Wild, uncontacted indigenous warriors emerge from the jungle. They knock the rest of the group unconscious. One survivor manages to stay awake just long enough to find the GPS, but he too is taken down before he can use it. The group is loaded onto boats and taken to a remote tribal village. There, they're painted with red pigment, touched in strange, unsettling ways, and locked in a cage. They begin to realize how dire things are. The village is filled with hanging bodies. No one is coming to rescue them. The jungle has swallowed them whole. Soon, a tribal matriarch appears, her body painted yellow. She inspects the captives, speaking in a language none of them understand. That night, one of their friends goes missing. The tribe is performing a ritual on him. They force him to drink something and lie down. The yellow-painted woman gouges out one of his eyes. The crowd cheers. She gouges the other. Then she tears out his tongue and eats it. The tribe's chief then severs his limbs. All while the man is still alive. Finally, they behead him, collect his blood, and drink it. It becomes clear they're cannibals. The women begin carving up the body and cooking it. The rest of the group watches in horror, the smell of roasting flesh filling the air. They're eating their friend. The tribe had selected him because he was heavier, more meat. That night, the group breaks down. Arguments erupt. None of them expected this. Alejandro finally drops the act. They hadn't stopped a corporation at all. The protest was staged. Everything had gone according to his plan. Alejandro is a narcissist who just wanted viral fame, and he got it. He reveals another corporation is set to bulldoze the forest in 3 days. When someone asks how they'll survive until then, he shrugs and says, "Our buddy was big. He'll keep them fed for 3 days." Everyone is disgusted. Alejandro's mask of morality has fully cracked. Then comes the most horrifying revelation. Justine's presence was part of the plan from the beginning. Alejandro had specifically brought her along because her father is high up at the United Nations. She was their human shield. The next morning, tribal children wake the captives. Justine plays her flute for one of the little girls. Later, the tribal chief arrives and takes the women to the yellow-painted leader, who inspects them. She's checking who among them is a virgin. Justine is the only one. The others are returned to the cage. One of them sees a boat nearby. Suddenly, the tribe knocks Justine unconscious and drags her away. The others know they need to act fast, but a cannibal guard is keeping watch. They hatch a desperate plan. One of the group plays a ringtone from a phone and tosses it into the jungle. The sound lures the guard away to investigate. Justine's friend sees a chance and bolts. She sprints at full speed and hides inside a nearby boat. Meanwhile, Justine ends up locked in a cage once again. Her entire body is smeared with some sort of paint, but she has no memory of how it got there or what happened to her. Later, we see all the friends gathered together, sitting down to eat, but suddenly, one of them freezes. She's spotted something on her plate. It's a piece of human skin, and what shocks her even more is that it has a tattoo, one that belonged to one of their female friends. The horrifying truth hits her. The skin came from someone they knew. Elsewhere, a group of young cannibal children are seen wearing that same piece of skin like clothing. Seeing this, the friend realizes their missing companion has been killed and eaten. Overcome with shock and grief, she slams her food bowl to the ground, grabs a sharp shard from the broken dish, and without hesitation slits her own throat. To her, death was better than becoming food for these savages. At the same time, another friend comes up with a desperate plan. He stuffs a hallucinogenic plant into the mouth of one of their dead friends, hoping that when the cannibals eat the body, they'll become intoxicated. And it works. The tribe roasts the corpse and eats it. Soon after, many of them fall into a daze, staggering around in a drug-induced stupor. Seeing an opening, Justine and one of her male friends make a break for it. But Alejandro betrays the group. He knocks out one of his own friends to increase his own odds of escaping. That friend, now unconscious, eventually wakes up to find 2 drugged cannibals sitting in front of him, still under the influence. He tries talking to them, attempting to distract them, but it doesn't work. They lunge at him, tearing into him while he's still alive. He somehow manages to run, bleeding and terrified, but the entire tribe is now chasing after him. The drug seems to have heightened their frenzy. They eventually catch him and begin tearing the flesh off his body in a gruesome frenzy, feeding on him with disturbing glee. Meanwhile, Justine and her remaining companion reach a riverbank. In the distance, they spot smoke rising from a crashed airplane. They make their way toward it. Along the way, Justine slips and falls into the river, but her friend pulls her out just in time. They push forward together and finally arrive at the crash site. But the crash site has been transformed. It's now some sort of temple. Corpses are strung up everywhere, as if in preparation for a terrifying ritual. Suddenly, A ringtone pierces the silence. Justine finds a phone lying nearby and picks it up. Just as the cannibals appear again, they're both knocked unconscious. When Justine wakes up, she's dressed in ceremonial clothing, clearly prepared for some kind of tribal ritual. Her male friend is restrained, his arms and legs brutally broken. The tribe's people smear a strange paste across his body, attracting a swarm of ants that begin biting into his flesh. He screams in agony, unable to move. The ritual is led by the female tribal chief. Suddenly, a warrior arrives, carrying a severed head. At that exact moment, a bulldozer from another company bursts into the area. The tribe goes on high alert, preparing for battle. Amid the chaos, Justine makes a daring move to try and save her friend. As he writhes in pain, he begs her, "Please kill me, I can't take it anymore." But Justine can't bring herself to do it. Instead, one of the cannibal children ends his suffering. Justine quickly grabs the phone from his pocket and runs. On her way out, she encounters Alejandro. He's desperate and pleads for her help, but Justine walks past him without saying a word, leaving him behind. She keeps running until she spots security forces launching an attack on the cannibal tribe. She waves the phone in the air to signal that she's a survivor. The soldiers spot her, rush to her, and pull her into a helicopter. Once on board, someone asks her, "Is anyone else alive?" Justine replies, firmly and without hesitation, "No, I'm the only one." The helicopter lifts off. Later, Justine gives a statement to the authorities. She claims that all her friends died in the crash and that the indigenous tribe never hurt her. In fact, she says, they helped her survive and guided her out of the jungle. But none of that was true. Justine knew exactly what those tribespeople were. She lied, not to protect them, but to stop the destruction of the rainforest. She wanted to make sure that no one else would come back and harm the jungle or its people. And with that powerful, haunting decision, the film comes to its chilling and emotional close.